Doing a little walkie.
My son's
Taking my other son to SPCA. Did you ever stop to think that maybe you're in someone else's book? And that is a tacky book? That it is a tacky fucking book? Forgot to take one of these things. Just got a couple of these things left. We'll just take the last couple days here. Mm-hmm. What a weird existence. And I knew it was coming. I think at a time there was an idea of what this current age would be, if you want to call it that, would be when there wasn't like internet, DARPA, ARPA, when there wasn't any sort of broadband, when the concept was, you know, even pre-telegraph and telegraph lines, the conceptualization that and the realization of a sort of a timeless time where people would somehow be able to not only communicate but matriculate and share ideas and get into nuanced niche groups that made no real sense, you know. Well, we live in that time now. We're going to do a little walk. I document the things that I do the best that I can, particularly on this channel. And then really, in retrospect, this type of stuff is going to be like, oh shit, this is cool, this is gold, this is this is unique, right? So we'll be doing a workout a little bit later. I'm going to try to hit legs today in the other room. I'm using 20-pound bags of rice, 8-pound containers of water, and about 200 plus pounds of resistive force in band training. So it's close to 300-pound squats, but it's nothing like that. I mean, you have to go through the axial load, and it's stressing my hips out. So that's why I haven't been doing more squats. But for about a month and a half, I did squats like they're going out of style, you know. Today I'm going to be doing some sumo squats against the wall. Open your window. No, I don't open my window. Don't tell me what to do. You don't know what's going on outside my house. Don't come in here and act like your boss. And I'm going to tell you, I was one of the first people on this shit with respect to amino acids, bioluminescence, and that stuff is bullshit. I'm telling you right now, it's bullshit. The ultraviolet light, the red, the infrared, that's all crap. That Jack Kruse stuff. Why do you think Jack Kruse is so crazy and caustic? Because he's a neuroscientist, so he's excluded from that. Even more so, why would you even think like Gary Nolan is healthy in any way? Because he's rich. Or Jacques Vallée isn't a Satanist, right? No, we talk about the truth here. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm 56 years old and I'm fucking healthy as shit, and I don't go into the sunlight much at all. I avoid the sun. The sun is bad for you. And it's a lie that it is good for you. And people are still dying of skin cancer. I say avoid the sun at whatever cost. But you notice something? I don't have artificial light in here. So if you're going to tell me to open up the curtain where you don't know what's going on, where I live, what's going on in my life, right? You have misconceptions of you think you're coming into my environment and I'm in a dark room and I'm depressed and alone. No, that's not the case. I'm actually extremely well balanced, and I'm in a dark room, and I'm avoiding the artificial penetration of an artificial sun that is actually causing not just skin cancer, but I believe that it's interacting with chemtrails and contrails and a lot of the other shit that's going on with the Internet of Bodies that's being put into your system. I'm not a person that took the jab. I didn't take any jab. Never voted in my life. Didn't register for the military by 100% of people who think that that's what a patriot is. But I've always followed the principle-based pure constitution and been extremely interested in that and advocated for that. And that is what a patriot is. Somebody who stands up for principle and fights for principle. And there's very little principle in any of us. As they create these terms called incel, cuck, right? Any other way that they can reduce a man. Well, I'm not reduced. The best part of me exists. I'm pushing 60 right now. I'm in the best shape of my life. And then I lose another 100%, and I don't really care because I'm not trying to find an audience. And I'm also not trying to create ridiculous arguments with people who really have nothing better to do than to death scroll. And of course, you're going to be challenged by what I say. But I say, when I go on your channel, I want to see you. I want to see your views. I want to hear you. I want to see what kind of condition you're in, right? And you can look at me anytime. I've given every type of opinion that I have. And they're not just opinions, because I try not to frequently just throw whimsical ideas out there. They must be grounded. They must be grounded in principle. So you've got somebody who understands Spinoza, David Hume, Thomas Aquinas, John Dee. I've studied the living shit out of this stuff for over 20 years. And principles are at the root of what's making the energy systems move, that you could call thermodynamics. And you could get into that whole aspect with entropy, enthalpy, Zoroth's fourth proposed law. You can get into all that shit. But the truth is you already know. You already know the way the world works. You already know inherently how energy and energy systems function or dysfunction. And you need to trust yourself. You are the power of one. It's already in you. And that is why less than 5% of the people ever stick with me, because they've been through it. They have been victim to the machine, and then they realize I'm not a victim. The machine is afraid of me. It wants to cancel me out, right? So that's why we go through a lot of the subject matter that we find with Operation GCD, Underclass podcast. But no, notionally, people are entirely wrong. You want to avoid the sun. You want to train hard. You want to eat carbohydrates. You want to see the agenda that they are plotting in front of you. That they want to force you out into the sunlight when you are producing cortisol, right? When this Internet of Bodies is being kicked up and perturbed, and we're talking about like the junk and the amino acids that are in your body, to where you are not replicating your DNA properly, right? So I'm not just throwing terms out there, adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine, and then uracil when you are going through the DNA, RNA scramble. And when this is dysfunction, so there's a lot of things that you can do. A huge study done on vitamin D, determining the telomere length, and then NAC and many other orthomolecular style amino acids. See, Linus Pauling wasn't just a genius. He was a true philanthropist. He gave to the world the knowledge at the base, which is vitamin C, orthomolecular nutrition, which has been looked past, misunderstood, and attacked for many, many years now. Many years. So no, I don't go out. I don't interact with imbalanced, crazy people who are just drones, and they're empowered with false ideologies that are causing them to picket against belief systems that they don't even understand the core of, or the center, or the bills that surround it. The best thing that you can do is to be a nonconformist who is seen as a nerd, but you have to keep the active principles alive within you. All you were ever supposed to do, and on your deathbed, and when you realize what you missed out on, was yourself. And I'm not talking about jerking off and being alone and experiencing the body sensation. I'm talking about transcending beyond the body. So this gets into some areas where people begin to like look at solar cults and things like this. And it's like, you want to know the problem with solar cults? You weren't ever supposed to do that with other people. Once you do that out in the existential, yeah, it becomes a cult, becomes a bastardized measure. When you're doing those principles within yourself, and this is why there's an area of contention and confusion with cults in general. Because when you look at the brilliant people that are involved in a lot of these, or at least a takeoff, a fork from the concepts, the conceptualizations by philosophers and so forth that understood this type of stuff, and were then called like heretical by what? The Semitic Zionist, right? And then we want to blame Jews, but they're just the greediest, smallest brained people. That's all. They're the people who jumped at it, who wanted everything. They wanted the whole. They didn't understand eating your cake and eating it too makes you fat, complacent, lazy, especially when you don't know really what's going on and that you live in a falsified construct in a falsified world. Right? So you were telling me open up the curtain when you don't know where I live. You don't know anything about anything. You don't know anything about sun exposure. You don't even understand. You look something up on Google and you think that the information that's open source is in fact knowledge. You don't see the agenda that's behind the information that makes it to your little ears, you know. So I'm walking. I don't even have to talk, actually. It's probably better when I don't talk. For me, I can breathe. I can center myself, and I can do that anywhere. You're always in a cell. You're always in prison. In your body, your energy is in cells. They're calling you an incel or a cuck. You are always in prison. And the only thing that's going to free you is your mind. But you don't understand what your mind is. Your mind, like a muscle, it sounds really tacky and cliche, banal even, but your mind has to be used. The transition, the transference for you to be able to do what used to be referred to as synesthesia, and just the transformation, the transfer of when you focus in on something. So where energy, where attention goes, energy flows. Well, what is energy? That's what you are. What is mind? That's what mind is. What is everything? It's power, it's energy. What is power and energy? It's essentially nothingness folding in on itself. to a point in time. But because the torsion or the torque field is producing inertia, and because that is occurring, it means that there's a flux potential of a point in time and a totality of the enthalpy or the field around it. So we are nothing, but nothingness is contained within something. All right. So we have the ability to utilize a total enthalpy of energy. It's available to any point in time. So when you have an opinion and when you rail it against another person's opinion with all your precociousness, you are saying, I exist. I am God in this space. I deserve all the energy. I deserve all the power. Then what happens is there's this alliance, this unholy alliance that's created where it's like, no, we're going to posit and posture ourselves and delegate a pecking order, a populist movement as to who is worthy of this. And these are the rules. And it's like, all you ever had to say is, fuck you. I don't believe in your rules. I'm taking the energy. So what they further do is they try to poison you so that your body cannot amalgamate, take up, absorb this energy. And even more so, you have sexes, races, you have this disparaging notion between people where they are literally given an asymmetrical, disproportionate axis of power. What do you think power is? It's energy. It's nothingness moving in and unto itself, but nothingness was part of the code. So it was never nothing. It looked like empty space, but as it moved through these vectors, through this moment arm, through this force resistance, right? Through this geometrical pattern, it created a number system. And that's why geometry is so powerful, because even when you merely suggest it and suggest a like Metatron's cube, did you ever look at Metatron's cube on a piece of paper? Do you even look at paper anymore? And try to make the spheres spin? Have you ever experienced that? Well, everything is a conceptualization to you. In other words, you already are a piece of software. You already are a program that is written by someone else's hand, the code, and you have accepted your way of life, your destiny. And that's why people are like, well, why does everything change? Why does everything seem like it's just not real anymore? Because you're not making it real. Because you believe in is real. Right? Because all attention and all energy goes back to is real. What is real, what is said to be real, what is said to be the hub. So these postulates of what is real, what is not real, you can't just make it up. It has to be based on a scientific formula. And without that, got some beef liver here. It's old, it's disgusting. I'm eating it. Let's see if I puke. Yeah. And that's about it. People overdo beef liver. They take far too much beef liver in. So what's happening is it isn't a taking over of the female energy. The Kali Yuga is the female disgracing herself. Okay? And they have created a system where women can feel like they've taken over the lesser power when you get into Enochian magic or Solomonic magic. And it seems like, oh, women just won. Women's liberation, CIA operation. The Statue of Liberty. That's a female. That's the Masons. Who's it? Dussiter and a few other people, along with crafting the dollar bill and the eye on top of the pyramid. Which, if you look back through antiquity, there are countless relics that have been found that say, behold the Son of God. I'm not going to say countless, but they're numerous. And they have a fucking eye, 13 steps and an eye above the pyramid. And yeah, it is totally misogynist. Yeah, it's anti-Semitic. It's misogynistic. It's xenophobic. Nice terms, by the way, because they create an endpoint. I'll tell you where the endpoint is. Don't you worry. So what happened was might makes right. Gritology, as Cliff High likes to call it, right? It is only allowed to be used to the populace at the higher tier of echelon. So, in other words, and they do this behind closed doors. They save all their aggression. They smile. They're sycophants and yes men by day, right? Look at Peter Thiel. Look at Elon Musk. Look at their little chagrin bullshit smiles. Right? They're not geniuses. They're drones. You don't think that little weird howdy-doody puppet Gary Nolan with his little tiny weird squishy body and his big head, and we won't even get into his personal life, but let's just say the guy's not genius. There's nothing genius about him. And then you get into, okay, what, when you posture or postulate yourself and say you are brilliant, you are genius, show me beyond some bullshit patent that you have or the money that you have in the bank. Show me what defines you as genius. And it's like, well, I passed this test and I did this. And it's like, you know that the information was given to you, that it was pumped into your head. You know that you're an automata. Okay? So when you get down to this, it's like you're based on a supposition of nothing. You are nothing. And the only thing that you have at the end of the day is your grit against the machine, right? And not even going against the machine. You see that the machine is entirely false. Why is this subject so important? Man, if you go back and read Tintin, you will see it all. You will see Werner von Braun's Saturn rocket. You will see Destination Moon. Hergé pointed it all out. Why do you think Professor Jean-Felix Picard and Auguste Piccard were amalgamated into Professor Calculus? Thomson and Thompson, the bungling inspectors. Think about it. Really get in depth. Get esoteric with it. I read them all, or nearly all, and they were amazing. And it wasn't just a comic book, and the comic styling was just epic. Talking about Tintin, but the reason that we bring that up is because it was tackling specific topics. It was going, this is a cartoon, that's impossible. You can't use like a diving suit on the moon. Then it's like, holy crap, what's really going on here, right? So look into it. Look into it. We'll do about, so we use this as a timer. We'll do about 25. So we got 25 minutes. We'll do about maybe another 30 minutes on this. And when you begin to stand up and you go, no, I'm doing what I want, and what I want is principally oriented and principally based, and it's not just the use of virtue and principle from just a mere probity sense, like a David Hume philosophical probity sense. No, I know purity, I demand purity, and I'm going to live pure. And those intrusive thoughts and the things that subvert me from purity are not intrinsically within me. And if they are, they're not an integral aspect of who the true me is and who I really want to be. When you start to take that on and you campaign for that 24 hours a day, year after year, you will see changes in the outside world. When you make the changes within you, I'll say it again, when you become pure, when you demand it, when you refute all ideas, all concepts, knowing that something else is influencing what you think is your localized perspective, all you have to do is go back to purity, purify yourself, and you will see that this isn't even a meditation, it's a state of mind. You are better off doing nothing, right? As far as an action goes, but it is not inert. You are demanding, this is who I am, this is the essence of the true me, and you will see the outside world change. When this is done in mass, the outside world, like it is right now, will cease to be. There's nothing to support it. And this is, when I say a campaign, you're not coming together and singing kumbaya. There's no existential expression to it. It's you at first in silent reverence, demanding it, and then you realizing I don't have to demand anything. I'm not trying to recruit anyone. It is happening regardless. Irregardless of how people feel or think, you are either on one side or the other. And it is going to come down then to less than 5%. And that's just the way it is. Less than 5% will gravitate toward, will even understand purity on any fundamental level. It's not intellectual. It is when you look at a substance, right? Like Hunter Biden talking about crack. Can you believe that guy got away with that shit? And now all the plebeians like him because he's an artist expressing himself. So here we are. We're going back to the democracy, back to the egalitarian push-pull, right? Don't you understand that they put this tyrannical Mussolini character in office for a specific purpose, just to create this entropy and this dichotomy to keep you thinking small? Of course you understand that. Then you got to understand that people will not be turning to Hunter Biden. He's just one of the potentials. He'll probably end up dying of trying to strangle himself into an orgasm, right? Or some weird shit like that. What'll end up happening is Gavin Newsom, little puppet boy, will probably become president, and he'll take on the moniker of the bad boy image that kind of has this soft reflection of people like Hunter Biden and other people like him. And people will be like, why did I vote for this person? Because it's a codified algorithm that's pumped out. And because ideologies work this way. And because you're forced into the notional aspect of making a choice by way of your glandular system, your limbic system, but your nervous system going through neural hormone prompt, right? So you want neurolinguistic programming to influence you because it gets you off, right? So what happens when you're no longer getting off on it? What happens when you realize that all that time that you spent trying to exhilarate yourself, you were actually burning yourself to where there's no self left? Is that kind of like where you are now? And I'm not just pointing the finger. That's where we all are. We all live in this tainted environment. So again, the way out is simple. It's about you. It's 100% about you. It's about the power of one. It has nothing to do with my influence on you. And hopefully when you're thinking about purity, and I'm not talking about meditations because that's even extending yourself out into the existential. Fuck that. The existential doesn't exist. What's occurring right now and what's changing times, places, and events, is it's a mockery. The code is a complete farce. This is an unsupported number system. You understand? We have to go back individually to purity. And if you know what purity is and you can feel it, then you are one of the few. That's what, infinitum secretiore, or even the term esoteric, it's for the few, because few care about it. It's available to all. It's not some exclusive club where it's some Jesuit, odd fellow, top of the Freemasonic Knights of Malta jerk off bonesman organization. No, making up stupid, traditions, putting mushrooms on their head and dancing around and, sitting on the throne until God's return, and then, having this planned opposition and all this bullshit that does not exist. None of that exists. It's all code. It is the balance between 0 and 1. It creates entropy. It creates chaos. And when you no longer look at it as the observer, it doesn't exist. They just cease to be. But the problem is that people are reacting in mass. They're looking at the next person going, oh, the sky is falling. Oh yeah, the sky's falling, right? And there is no sky, therefore it can't fall. None of this exists. And when you begin to purify yourself and believe in nothing but the pure center and the pure self, and you do this with enough, it only takes one person. That's the true essence of, if you want to look at the true essence of Jesus, Isis, King Isis, Isis, Zeus, right? You can mix all these different godlike terms together, but the truth is it's the God in you. When you get into terms like God, though, like in the Gospel of Thomas, never stop seeking. But what it really goes on to say is that you will be standing back, paraphrasing, in wonder when you realize that your mind is more than capable and able when you believe, right? When you're that little Jew-ass, big-nosed Tom Cruise that just believes you can do it, and you stay out of the public specter long enough so that you're not jumping on too many couches while Oprah Winfrey goes and does her occult rituals, right? Now you see it all, right? Now maybe you see it all. Maybe you're an entered apprentice. Well, you are. You live in a Masonic jungle. When you go outside, you are in a motherboard grid system. The post office, the Masonic Hall, the police station, the library, the theater. Did you ever look at your fucking town? Did you ever see the cars that travel to and from at the specific times in an algorithm that's based on the same nuclear clock that your circadian rhythm is? Did you ever put it all together and just stand back? Well, guess what? It's not that impressive, because they're using the field and a technology, a techne that exists that they didn't invent. They didn't create it. It's nothingness folding in on itself within a pleroma. That's why the pleroma is talked about over and over again. That is the Mason's mark, right? One of the many symbols, the circumpunct. Do you know what that is? It's a circle with a dot in the middle. That is the same expression for stellar mass. That is the same expression that's put on the side of Masonic halls. And do you know what the two lines on the side is? That looks like 101, because it is. 101 on the way up, 101 on the way down. It's the Gauss sequence. It's the 1001 club with the added 0. You have a left and you have a right paradigm. You have the Odd Fellows, Cosmo, Operation Gladio. The thing is, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to look into this really deep. It's only going to take up a lot of your energy and your time. All you have to know is, am I pure? And then the answer is no every time. Do I understand purity? It's going to be no. Then how do I feel this small flicker of purity within me? And it's like, that's the true self. That's the true you. Just become that. Right. Rectify. Correct. So when you get into orthomolecular nutrition, that is what Linus Pauling was after. That's why it's vitamin C. You understand? It's vitamin C that corrects. It sounds abstract, but it has to do with synergizing amino acids. And the specific amino acids that are synergized by way of vitamin C. Of course, you need like paradoxin, you need B6, B12, B3, B1, B2, right? You need small amounts of this, and you can get this with beef liver, unfortunately. So you're taking this grand, huge, peaceful animal, basically a land, what the last ramifications of a land whale, and we're slaughtering the living shit out of it and eating it. Right? But it's the only thing that you can afford to get all the nutrients that you need. Vitamin A, copper, iron, and basically all your vitamin Bs. So I put into action what I'm talking about. I put into self-improvement. And we're about 36 minutes in. And we're going to get, I'm kicking up my appetite. And then I'm failing myself, right? So I'm purposefully not eating. I'm burning off some of the ice cream from last night, which I intentionally ate to give myself an anabolic metabolic drive, right? I'm going through recovery. The carbs are helping me sleep. That sugar jacks you up. But good luck anabolizing without sugar. So strong men and men of renown, like in the Bible, they ate a lot of fucking food. And it wasn't just eating slaughtered animals. They had to eat one hell of a lot of grain. And for a long time, people drank alcohol because it has similar properties to, and mead, right, as processed sugar does. Now we don't need to drink to get that anabolic effect from the monosaccharides and the high sugar stimulus. But you need that if you want to grow, if you want to live, if you want to be alive, if you want to build tissue, if you want to innervate a response, right? If you want to excite a response. So we'll be doing a little bit of squats today. Much later. We'll see what happens. But we want to get at least 2 hours of continuous walking in. And we are almost 40 minutes in. And I noticed that there's a recomposition taking place with my body fat from all the high carb intake. Finally, the inflammation around my breast tissue, my breast fat, which is a thing, that male breast cancer and stuff. Oh yeah, I was feeling huge, not only huge lumps in my left side for a long period of time, but like a bunch of junk over there where it's like, what is this? This is some weird ass shit, right? So that has gone down since I've gone off carnivore, right? Now, I was able to bring that down to such a minimalistic amount of body fat last year. I thought I'm getting down to 155 pounds, and I did. So that's another interesting thing about looking at my walk, looking at my journey, if you want to call it that. But that's all cliche bullshit terminology. Really what's going on is I weighed 155 pounds, and I think that this time around, if I'm able to get in the gym, back in the gym, I'll be able to get back up to about 215 to 225 naturally at 6 feet tall with a medium frame. I have 7-inch wrists. I don't know if that's considered medium frame. A lot of people would say, oh, fuck, that's small, you know? So medium to small frame. ChatGPT said I'm buffed. ChatGPT says a 90-year-old, 85-pound grandma says she's buffed. Yeah. So pick your friends wisely, right? Be your friend. Be your only friend. The power of one is not a lonely sentiment. In fact, there's a whole universe within you, through you, and the outside, the existential, relies on you being a purer form of yourself. So when they say know thyself, that is what that means. And from a Cartesian perspective, I say they, because it is an adoption of a world, or a Weltanschauung worldview. Walking. It's not boring, it's not. I mean, I've walked like this for 2,000 miles. You're conditioned to think that half the shit you see is real. You think because you've experienced it, you're capable of putting on a wingsuit and jumping off the side of a cliff. You think because you've seen a 10-year-old riding a skateboard like a virtuoso master, like fucking Metallica, right? Grinding and flipping and doing fucking ollies, cosmic ollies that make the gods cry. You think that you're capable of doing that shit, right? Or doing serious downhill skating, longboard skating. You think you're capable of that. Well, you're not. You're not. So there's an anger, a frustration with people where they realize, but I'm omnipotent, but I'm omnipresent, I'm omniscient. There's something in me and through me that's sacred and divine. It's like, yes. And it's just the opposite. What occurs is that you have to find the purity in you, no longer play the role of being sacrificed so that the computational system can pick who's better, who's going to create asymmetrical injustice, who's going to make you hate people that seem to be naturally talented, because it is a very precise codified detail as to where these family lines come from and why they're allowed to do what they're going to do. And typically what you'll see somebody who seems very blessed, graced, but then you'll see everyone in their family has health problems, right? And it's when they start to go into the codified number system that they do on purpose, because we give money a value. Every single piece of this technology, it is technology, has a code. And as that code circulates and it's given prowess, it's given use, right? It pulls from the energy, right? Where you're extending yourself existentially through a belief system that this validates me, and this is power, right? So you're placing your power in something existential, and even more so, you're sacrificing the purity within you along the way. It's that simple. And of course, this is a more grounded, esoteric, arcane explanation. And I understand the way it works. Like I've studied Bretton Woods and fucking the WEF and all this fucking bullshit. Ben Bernanke's fucking bullshit. All this crap that's going on around the world. Nixon, gold standard back in 1972. I mean, yeah, I've been on the orange pill bandwagon, just trying it on. I've owned just about every fucking crypto known to man. I've owned enough to where I should be independently wealthy right now. And they'll never let you hang on to any of that, no matter how you approach it. They will never let you hang on to any of that. Unless you're using other people and you've been riding on other people's rails. Unless you got an inheritance, you've been living off other people, you will not, as a poor person, be able to hang on or keep the custody of your cryptocurrency. It's that easy. It's that simple. You can smugly suck in your cheeks and say, no, I'm one of those that has. And it's like, no, you haven't. Open up, be transparent, open up the books. Let's see your fucking life over the last 10 years. You're a fucking cuck or an incel, okay? You used people. Remember that story years ago about that kid who bought Monero with money from his parents and lived at his parents' house until Monero hit, right? And then he became a millionaire, and then he got into office and started to get into politics. He's a fucking thief. He's a fucking thief. Okay? Really look at the reality. So when you get into the power of one, what empowers you? What brings you power? And how are you going to rally for and justify the world actually being at all virtuous? That's what virtue means. That's why it can be harkened back and linked to Machiavelli, where you leave the E off of virtue, right? And you put a lowercase e, and sometimes you'll put a higher E, a more resonant E, or a bold uppercase E, right? These all mean something different. Just like the small g for God, just like the larger, the bold lowercase g, just like the uppercase G, just like the uppercase G in bold, right? These all are different transitionary aspects. Was it the Headless Giant podcast? I think so. But it could have also been the Occult Rejects. And was talking about this, right? This subject. But they talk about these very fringe type subjects that are not fringe at all. They are highlighted aspects to the whole, right? And they want you to get lost at Monad. They want you to see Monad as the end-all be-all. They want others to identify Monad as an occult slogan. But that is what the circumpunct is. It represents the Monad. And it's a period. It's a period stain. It's the coochie hole staring back at you. It's the thing that comes out of the coochie hole. It's a conical event of what it looks like when you're watching a conical object float away from you or toward you. It's the same. So it comes down to not just a parallax view, but a transitional perspective through perspectivism in time. That's what it represents. You're always looking at a point in time. That's what the circumpunct represents, and that's what the Monad means. And that's what John Dee's geometrical mindfuck of hieroglyphic Monad means. These weren't geniuses. They were diabolical. They were 100% playing a game, a demonic game with each other. That's what cryptology, that's what computers are based on, is John Dee's covert, machinating cryptological use case, his cipher codes. That's non-Euclidean spherical mathematics. That's what all of these computers are based on. So it goes into complete and total irrational space where you have multiple probabilities through quantum entanglement with quantum computing that can only be done at absolute zero. They want you to think that absolute zero hasn't been cracked, but they went way beyond this. And it's fucking scary. You know, and they know the means and the methods, and that's what a lot of this propulsion shit is. Right? I actually think that UAP was a byproduct that was just like a simple thing that they could make after they cracked the whole Die Glocke thing. Right? The Nazi bell, the universe, these interlocking spinning chambers, right? So did you ever think by traveling through time, tethering through time, that there was a sentence created for everyone who was alive, and now there is a forced, solidified notion that everyone who existed between these two event moments, right, that became entangled into one, you could say photon collision, rate of speed, color shift was used in this, right? You could say that the backward operation of the quark through neutrinos and various fermion were manipulated and used in this, right? But when we identify esoteric principles of light, that is the complexity of what we're talking about. But it's very simple. I'm going to tell you the way out. Purity. With the implementation, the induction, and then the realization that none of this could even exist without purity, and that purity would never stand for it and wouldn't even have to make a choice. It is, right? That one morsel, one little flicker, one twinkle of purity and purification within a tainted field would automatically cancel out the entire operation of that field. That what seems like genius is madness. And anyone who postulates or posits that they are, in fact, genius, always meet a terrible end, right? So you could almost look at an IQ as a measurement of entropy. Like the higher the number goes up, the closer to cracking that motherfucker is, right? And I'm not talking about cracking the code. I'm talking about cracking up. So that's why they have a leveling out, where they stay to themselves for the most part. They have to pace themselves. They're stuck in deep contemplative thought constantly, but they have to think about things that are asinine that don't really even matter. Everything becomes surface, right? So they are trying to create this sucker, this lollipop, this remedy, this pacification, this anchor that makes them feel like their entire universe isn't coming apart. Because they're given something. They're given the keys to breaking this shit apart. And it's like a person with a high IQ is like a gentle giant. You'll look at like your average Samoan, you'll be like, why don't you just fuck everyone up? It's like, oh no. I'm too tired. They seem aggressive and nuts, but all they really want to do is train. And that's really, you know, there was a reverence toward, I'm not saying that every Samoan's a good person, you know, or Micronesian or Tongan, but what I am saying is they've been introduced to the realization over and over again that they fight and they stand for something, and it's genetically in their blood system. You know, it's why they can become top NFL athletes and typically not homicidally take apart people. Right? But then there's all this injustice and racism and stuff. Right? But what was looked at years ago is that Samoans have they have the same number of muscle cells, but they're larger muscle cells, right? So if you put them on the perfect diet, right, and you were to, I think the implications of having larger muscle cells is a huge thing. I think if you were to put them in a slightly gravity-less environment, right, but still operationally have them train intensely, like strongman shit, it would be interesting to see what happened there, because the genetic propensity is already there. Right? The epigenetic influence has already taken place. Well, anyway, it is 55, so we're going to be shutting this down. Maybe drinking a little more liquid, a little backed up today. We'll see what happens after I take in some fiber. It's that fucking tuna and sardines kind of fucked me up a little bit. Let's see some of the idiotic things people say. Open that window, they tapped your house. Yeah. Everything you see on the surface is the way life is. You're so syllogistic and fucking stupid. Why is chat so quiet? Because I don't want to chat with you. Open your window. Fuck you. Go open your own window. Things are not as they appear. And you're a fucking idiot. Take a hike. That's what I would have said to you. But if I would have said that and read it when it happened, I'd be entertaining you, and I'm not your fucking entertainment either, bitch. So get on. Go scroll somewhere else, loser. Whew. So we got, what, maybe 2 more minutes we'll do.